So we have a motion from Commissioner Fritz. We have a second from Commissioner Eudaly.
We'll take a tentative vote.
This is a tentative vote. The final vote would be next Wednesday, February 14th, during the council's AM session.
Give the time.
Call the roll.
We need to state the time. Yes,
Yes, we need a time certain, please.
it'll be 11:30.
11:30, February 14th will be the final vote.
I'm sorry, 11. I've got a couple other items here.
And by the way, given our
11
recent,
a.m. Okay,
given our
so,
recent history, Mayor, I think we should let people know that's probably closer to 12.
yeah, no
Or
kidding.
3.
So
Or
this
3.
is a tentative vote. The final vote will be on February 14th, Wednesday, 11 a.m., Portland City Hall. Be there. On the tentative vote, call the roll.
Fritz,
This has been a really great hearing, lots of really good testimony, very well organised. I'm very, very impressed with everybody who spoke. Thank you to the staff. I know that you have worked really hard to try to get to. Yes, I do believe that this property will be developed, and I think everybody's aware of that. So I think there's a lot of scope. It's a big property. There's lots of different parts of it. I hope that I hope it doesn't come back on appeal, because I hope you can get to something that can be approved by the hearings officer. If it does, then I will be looking for significantly different alternatives that greatly reduce the disturbance area, do look after the values of the upland forest. I think that was part of the testimony that was very compelling to me, is that the resource values identified in the Southwest Hills Protection Plan include values of the upland forest by itself rather than just as protectors of the creeks. And I also am very concerned about the landslide hazards. Usually, given that the whole of West Portland is in a landslide hazard area, I don't give much credence to that. I think the testimony that was presented today and that's in the record is compelling, that this site needs particularly careful evaluation for both the streets and the lots to see, to make sure that that landslide hazards is diminished both during construction and afterwards. And to me, that would entail retaining some of the trees both during and after construction. Aye.
Fish,
I want to echo what my colleague just said. I think this has been an exemplary hearing. I think it's important that we acknowledge the Griffith family legacy of how they have managed this property and the business. It is my hope that as a result of our action, that there can be some resolution of the differences and a proposal that gets approval. I would hope this does not come back to us, assuming this is not appealed. If it does, I too will be looking closely at impact on trees, impact on the wildlife corridor that the Olmsted brothers over 100 years ago identified as one of the most significant natural features of the West Side, erosion control and impact and mitigation measures, and how the stormwater is managed on site. Aye.
Saltzman,
Well, excuse me. Well, I see heads nodding about this property will ultimately be developed. I'm not sure I'm totally convinced that's the sentiment of everybody who may be most affected by development of this tract of property. And that's just kind of the way we are in Portland. You know, intellectually, we all accept growth and density and all that, but when it comes right down to something in our backyard, it's an entirely different issue. So I'm not going to impugn anybody's motives here, but I will say this, that I think we're better off having this property developed by the Griffith family than some out-of-town developer from California that's going to swoop this up if the Griffith family tosses their hands up and says, we can't do anything with it, you try. And they're going to have a lot more resources to bear, and I think this council has spoken, just about everybody here, saying we see this being developed too. So I think it's just a question, it's, you know, my admonition to everybody here is you should come up with a solution that works with the Griffith family. I think that's the best bet to environmentally sensitive development that will provide home ownership opportunities. Now, I would like to see a multifamily option considered as much as anybody else because it does speak more to the affordable housing crisis. But as I said earlier, you know, home ownership is a good thing, period, for people to be able to live near where they work. So that's where I'm coming down. I'm going to support the appeal at this point, but this isn't going to go away, and I think the neighbors are best dealing with current owners of the property to come up with something. And I think the current owners of the property have gone a long ways, I think, towards offering some options here that do provide public owners or public open space as well as environmentally sensitive development. It's not totally there, you know, like save that tree, but it's probably closer than we're going to get with some out-of-town ownership coming in to develop this piece of property. Aye.
Eudaly?
As is often the case with these land use hearings, it's really preferable if opposing sides can come to an amenable agreement, because as Commissioner Saltzman mentioned, sometimes there's a much less desirable alternative than what either side is hoping for. So I vote aye, and I hope this can move forward.
Wheeler?
I want to thank Dan for setting the right tone, which is we want to get to a yes win-win on this. And I want to acknowledge the Griffin family. You are an old Portland family. You have contributed mightily and positively to this community, and you've put some wonderful ideas on the table. And to the community, I would say this: you've raised very reasonable objections today, compelling objections in terms of where we are today. It is my view that this is a complex site for obvious reasons. It has all the overlay issues, but ultimately it is a developable site, and it is my belief that it will be developed. And so now the question is simply, how do we shape that development and where do we take it from here? So I hope all of us can take this as a serious challenge, rise to the occasion, and get to the point where we are saying yes. So I concur with my colleagues on this. Thank you for everybody who is here today. I know that ultimately there are many people disappointed by this decision today, but I think it is the right decision for today. I vote aye. The motion is approved, 5-0. We are adjourned.